Ladies, grab a drink and get comfy because I am talking with my friends and colleagues, Mia Moran, Julie Hannon, and Kelly Lubeck, about the power of female communities and how we can offer support and accountability to each other as women. And I want you to feel like you're part of the conversation. So I have had all three ladies on the podcast separately, and it's just going to be a lot of fun to be together today. So I have known Mia for years now. She is a lovely friend of mine and a fantastic productivity coach and planning expert. She's the host of the Plan Simple podcast, where I've been a guest many times, author of Plan Simple Meals, and creator of the Flow 365 program, where she helps women balance their busy lives. And Julie is a shamanic healer, an energy medicine teacher, and a yoga practitioner, and helps people connect with their gifts and strengths and make heart-centered decisions. She sees private clients, facilitates group retreats, and leads a fantastic online sacred circle every week. And Kelly is also a shamanic healer and yoga teacher with 25 years experience working in public health around the world. And she uses the science of the nervous system and a variety of holistic health practices to help women heal from trauma and balance the demands of life and leadership. I have seen both Kelly and Julie for private sessions. They are incredibly gifted practitioners. And I met Julie and Kelly through Mia. They're all very close friends living around the Boston area. And Kelly and Julie are members of Mia's Flow 365 community. And all three ladies are members of Skinny 60. They've all used the 60-day reset to improve their health. So point being, we are all very familiar with each other's work. So I'm really excited to dive in with them about how we can create and enter safe spaces to express ourselves freely as women and take action when we feel like it has to be me. So let's just get in there and get the skinny from Mia, Julie, and Kelly.
Ah, what a treat that we get to start the year off like this and have this beautiful conversation together. And listener, I hope you'll get a cup of tea or a coffee, something to eat, and you can curl up with us and feel like you're having lunch with us. Mia, I want to start with you. One of your superpowers is helping people make better choices. I mean, I really could say that to Julie and Kelly, to you as well. What is planning for you in terms of setting ourselves up for making these great choices? Let everybody into your philosophy a bit.
Okay, so first of all, I don't think I help anyone make better choices. I just think I help people tune into their choices, right? Like that they're here to make. And what happens is that we live in such a noisy world that I think it's really hard to make choices a lot of time. A lot of us are just in like total choice decision overwhelm. So I often say that planning is just making decisions in advance. Julie, what do you say? You say something, you turn that into something else.
And planning is making decisions in advance, and to your notes to your future self. And I say Om is making notes to your future being.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. So it's just making choices in advance. And the advantage I think that we have in making choices in advance is that we can like choose like how we are in the moment that we're making choices. So if we're just in, I'm 100% for being present, but oftentimes if we're just, in the whole craziness of life, we might be really sad and have to make a choice, or we might be really frustrated and have to make a choice, or we might be really angry. And when we pause long enough to make a plan for the week or the day or even the next hour, but like take the time to tap into what Kelly and Julie do, to just access our center instead of all the noise, then we're able to make a different choice. And I just think it's like really hard to do in isolation.
Yeah, I agree. So that's why we could get into a debate about semantics about, I believe that you help people make better choices. I believe that I help. Yeah. I believe Julie does. I believe that Kelly does, right? Because I believe that we all help each other make better choices. So it's really interesting that when I phrased it like that to you, you straight away went, no, I don't do that. People make better choices. And then we come full circle to the fact that we're all holding this container together, right? So what's so fascinating to me about your response is just, we can make these choices, but we don't make them in isolation. We actually do need that help. And so, Kelly, what would you say in addition to that? So Mia's got her way of saying it, then Julie adds on, and we create this beautiful soup together.
Yeah, thanks. I was just thinking as Mia was responding and you were riffing off of what she was saying, how each of us in our own ways have a way of sort of opening up the space and sort of laying out the pathway for people to step in and then make their best choices, or, eat the thing that really serves them, or plan in a way that really supports their life in all these different realms, or to do healing in a way that really makes sense in their lives. And it's so much about, I'm with Mia in I don't help them do it as in directing them. It's like really opening up the space and creating the container within which people can live their best lives and experience life in the best and most vibrant way for them. So that's what I would add to that.
Because again, I'm going to push back in terms of how I hold it, in the sense of when I had a private session with you, I would absolutely have walked away saying, you helped me see some things in a way that I wasn't able to see it on my own. Likewise, when I had a private session with Julie, I would have walked away saying, you helped me to hold something. And my fear, I came to see you right before I was doing a play, and I was full of terror. And even though I went away and did the work myself and went on stage and did it myself, and you weren't there holding my hands and, pushing me out there, you were there with me, helping me, guiding me, reminding me to step into these parts of myself, as you just said, Kelly. So, it's just, it's this thing of, I really believe that all three of you help me be the best version of myself. So I'm just going to say that. All right.
Can I, okay, just to say in response to that, Tess, I hear you and I agree on that. And same to you, the three of you. And I think I think what we're speaking to is this co-creative aspect of it, right? That we step in together, and the magic that is made in the container, you see things differently if you're the client. I see things differently if I'm sitting in your space, and we all get awakened to the different ways of seeing or different ways of holding. And in that space, yes, we learn to make different choices.
Thank you for bringing up that distinction, because I actually think that's what's happening right now. So thank you for helping me to see that. I'm sitting here as a client of all three of you. And so as you're pushing back on no, it's not about me. I don't do the work for my clients. I'm just, and I'm going, whoa, hang on a second. I'm going to give you way more credit for the co-creation aspect of me being able to show up like this. So that is a really important distinction, because,
and Tess, I think I feel like, I won't speak for all of us. I feel even weird speaking out loud about myself, but that's okay. But what I will say is, I think that all of our audiences, a lot of times are like 45 plus, right? Like all of us are sort of serving that audience. And I think that like some of us have lost parents, and a lot of us didn't have parents who who didn't come agendaless. Like, I think it's a new concept that parents are trying to be as agendaless as possible for our kids. And so I feel like essentially what a lot of us are doing is like, it's almost like what we wanted someone in our life to really see us. Like, that's all we do. It's like, we're really helping people see themselves with like literally no agenda. I feel like that's the part I want to say. Like, none of us have an agenda about how it should be. It's just a lot of times we're in this world where it's so easy to be living somebody else's agenda, even unconsciously, right? Just whether it's our parents, our grandparents, the community we live in, social media, like the school we send our kids to, like it is so easy to be part of other people's agendas. And that's all, like, I feel like that's what a lot of us are all of us are doing, including probably you. It's like there's just not a way it has to be. And that almost makes it harder to make the right choice sometimes. And so it's so helpful to have thought partnership in that part of the puzzle.
Yeah. So, Julie, I want to ask you about that. Ooh, yeah. Right? Yeah. You're anticipating what I'm going to say, right? Because it's thinking and being, and you're all about being.
Yeah. And so it's funny because I'm listening to me and saying, do I really not have an agenda? Because I kind of do.
I could hear it. And I just went, I've certainly got an agenda. I don't know what agendaless means.
Yeah, well, and I was thinking about it in relationship to my kids and being agendaless with them. But occasionally we do things that are like death-defying, like scuba diving or other things where like death is sort of walking alongside of us when we're doing it. And I'm always wanting to be current with my kids about like, in case I die today, what should you remember about me? I love you. And what should you choose? If you choose anything in life, what if there's a should, I don't should, but what do I want for you? Happy. I don't care what you do. I don't care where you work. I don't care if you don't work. I don't care who you have a relationship with, or if you don't have, like, I want you to have the opportunity to choose happy. So it is, and I was thinking about it in relation to clients and the place of opening the door to, you can make the choices that make you feel good. You can make the choices, my like under tagline is love your path. Like you could actually love your life even when it's shit. Sorry, I don't know if I'm
You're allowed to do whatever you want to do.
You can even so, and you and I've talked about this, your thing of good, better, best, not perfect. Mine is good, better, best. It's all perfect. The shit is perfect too. So like love the thing that you're doing. And if you don't love the thing, then let's clear out the stuff. And sometimes we have to do things we don't like, even in the loving the path, like, whatever.
Right,
what
email
that is for us, for each of us. But we want to really, I don't know. It's like, I do have an agenda that people can have freedom and happiness to choose. And I feel passionate about that. And so like, I was thinking like, do I have an agenda? Am I attached? I know I'm supposed to release attachment. That's one of my big teachings, right? No attachment, but can we be happy, healthy, and holy? Like that's in my sort of inner world, that's our birthright. And we move away from that, closer to and farther away from that all the time. But I think that's what I wish for people. That and connecting to nature. I've been working on that all day today in my languaging of things. Yeah. Make sure you get outside.
Kelly, what was coming up for you as Mia was talking about being agendaless?
Okay, I'm rewinding back to Mia because I'm thinking about all the things that just came up with Julie.
Well, you can talk about what was coming up with Julie as well.
Well, I was thinking like, is it without attachment? And also my wish or my vision for people and the way that I show up and how I serve, like I definitely have a purpose in it, but with each human, I don't have an agenda, right? Yeah. And
yes, I agree with that.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
And I think Mia so beautifully spoke to this idea of like, we grew up in a very different time. It's such a different time. And this idea of giving our kids the freedom and what Julie was talking about, staying current to the moment and current with in the I don't remember how you say it, but in the death realm or whatever, and making sure that we're, updating them and what our wishes are for them. And I mean, parenting is such a lesson in being agendaless because it just gets thrown back in your face when you try to have an agenda. But I think in the work, like my vision for people is to really just step into partnering with and loving their bodies and changing habits that really deeply support them and being in love with all of what's been up until now, because there's so much beauty in it. I mean, every single one of us has moved through big transitions, some really crazy hard transitions. And, as Julie was saying, loving the path and loving what has been and loving what got us here and updating so we can live differently now. And that is definitely, I am not without attachment in that. I really want that for people. And I'm also aware that everybody has to move at their own pace and people have different kinds of resistance, which is a piece I love to work on with people. And that what I see for them, someone actually recently said to me, a healer friend said, you are so good at seeing what's possible for people. And like you look into the depths of their hearts, but they're not always caught up to your vision of them. And so you have to, and he was actually saying this in the friendship realm, not in the, in the healer realm. But I think we can get caught in that space too when we're a practitioner or a supporter of, I see everything that's possible for you. And even in the shamanic tradition that Julie and I have trained in and practice, that place of holding the healed face. I think holding the healed face for someone is so powerful, and it can look really different for everyone's different journey, right? And the path that they take to their endpoint or their destination. So
yeah, what's coming up for me as I'm listening to all of you is being really clear about what's yours and what's somebody else's. You know, as a practitioner, as a guide, as a coach, whatever term we're going to, you know, put on what we do with people. And we all do something slightly different, even though we're facilitating transformation. I don't know if that resonates with you, that term, but that's the words that came to me as I was speaking. So I'm going to throw out something that I believe, and I'd love to get your thoughts about what resonates for you as I say it. I believe that in order to be a coach, a practitioner, a facilitator, in integrity, you have to be walking the talk. You have to be practicing self-care. You have to be sitting with truth. You have to be on a path of awareness. And I don't believe that that is possible fully unless you are treating your body like a temple. You know, where you have clear pathways so that you can connect with your intuition, your spirituality, etc. So does that statement resonate with you, Mia?
100%, which is kind of why I believe in like all that we have to be looking at all the areas of life, right? Like, so wellness is one of them for sure. And like all the stuff we were just talking about in terms of parenting isn't, you know, and life and home is another. And spirituality, thus Julie and Kelly, and we work with a lot of, you know, people. Everyone's doing their work in the world, right? Whether it's entrepreneurship or, you know, working in whatever. But I usually work with people who are trying to make a difference, whether it's in corporate or in their business. And yeah, like so we have to treat that part. And I feel like as practitioners, entrepreneurs, mothers, we kind of have to be walking our talk in a couple of different quadrants, right? So it's like, and I think right now in like this particular moment, like I keep saying this, especially to spiritual entrepreneurs, which I have the honor of working with a lot, is that like, I also think right now the world is calling us to work our work at the next level. So it's like not even okay that we're just like practicing what we preach. It's like, we have to also be practicing like the next thing that we're not even preaching yet. Like, I just think that that's what the world is calling on us right this particular moment.
When you say the next thing, what do you mean by that?
So it's like, you know, I've worked with both Julie and Kelly, right? And so like Julie totally helped me like have the best morning routine and like do breath work and like really tap into myself, and Kelly helped me be like so in tuned with listening to my body and what my body needed, and like just so many things for just, I don't know, just taming my heart and mind and soul at moments when I can't naturally do it. And so like that's the work that I know of them. That's what they're you know, and a whole bunch of other things that they do, right? But like that's the work, that's the thing that I carry every day. And so they do those things every day. But like also I think right now, like I'll speak for myself as a planner, like, you know, I plan a little bit in advance of everybody. But I feel like right now I have to be so impeccable with my planning, because I look back a few months ago and there was a couple months where like actually life is pretty good. Like things just happen. You know, I'm in routines where I send emails every week. I'm in routines where I make my plan. I have a routine that I wake up and I do my daily planning sheet. But a few months ago, I was like, you know what? I have to like really do all the steps, and I have to do them at my next level. Like there's no coasting right now. I just think that the world is like, we're living in the strangest time, and we really are going to have to walk our own walk, whatever that is. And I think it can be at home. It doesn't have to be in work. For some of us at home, for some of us, it's how impeccably we take care of our bodies. But I just think there's no coasting right now.
So
It's
rather
like
than
not
the
a time of
next
coasting.
thing, you're talking about the next level, like
Yeah, the next level.
leveling.
Yeah.
Yeah, that resonates
And
really
like the
deeply with me.
depth of the things that are ours, you know, like I feel like everyone can say like, you know, this is the thing that keeps showing up. It showed up in my 20s, it showed up in my 30s, it showed up in my 40s, it's showing up in my 50s. So like it's like clear that this is my thing. And so it's like not a time about going broad. It's a time of really going deep into those things that keep showing up for us.
Yeah. Julie, what's coming up for you about going deeper, up leveling, upgrading the commitment to self-care?
Well, coincidentally, I was just talking to Kelly about this morning because it's like it's sort of in your face. Well, I'll speak for my own pronouns there. It's in my face of like, do the work. Just what Mia was saying. Like, and she actually said to me recently in another conversation, the place of like finding the answer to whatever I'm working with is in my own practice. Like in all that, and I've always said for years and years, as long as I can remember, we teach what we most need to learn. So the place that Mia just patterned it as, you know, it comes up in our 20s, it comes up in our 30s, it comes up when we come together with somebody, when we separate, like all that same recurrent thing. And also what I'm noticing is, because I think I'm the elder in this group, I just realized as I was listening to Mia, because I'm coming to the close of another decade, and that place where we're sort of on a spiral and we get closer and closer to the center. So it comes faster. It's like if we do the work, if use Mia's thing, if she sits down and does the plan, spirit lines up quicker. If I sit down in my morning practice and I was thinking this morning, I've really, really recommitted deeply to my morning practice, like out of bed and onto my cushion, which I've said to clients for years. And I sort of come and go from that, even though I did it every day for many, many years, 15 or more. And I have found that just what I've taught for the last 10 years, but I haven't been religious, bad word, you know, whatever.
Consistent.
Consistent.
Yeah.
Thank you. I haven't been consistent about that practice. But what I teach is that when you do that practice consistently, when you get with your breath in the morning, when you tune into your heart and you connect to spirit, you have more time every day without fail. And today like time expanded and expanded and expanded. I'm like, wow, I've gotten so much done. And when is 3:30? When am I talking to Tess and Mia and everybody and Kelly? So it's this place of really noticing that yes to deep and also honoring the wisdom of the journey. Like you've done the journey and now it's easier the next time.
But and what Julie's saying is like exactly what I was talking about at the beginning of, first of all, I think everyone has their own thing, and also how helpful it is to have partnership, because like literally like Julie is like, and you know, each of us does our thing like really well, right? Everybody here, we all do our thing really well. And the other day, Julie and I were talking about something business related. I think this is okay to say, but we were talking about something business related. And I'm like, have you just done your own? Like she was like making it very complicated. And I was like, have you just done your own work? Like go meditate, like go take yourself on a journey. Like the answer is here, but it's like, it's hard to see that for ourselves. I mean, I can't see it for myself. Like, it's hard to, like, it's like we're inside our own bottle trying to read the outside label. Like, it's impossible.
Yeah. I want to ask you, Kelly, about being inside of your own vessel. And, right, because this is what, you know, one of the many things you help people do so beautifully is recognizing what's going on inside of you and how we can work from that place.
Yeah. Again, I'm sitting with what Mia just said, the being inside the bottle and trying to read the label. That was so profound. And to your question, Tess, I think a big part of what I do is get inside the bottle and put the label inside, like read the label.
Flip it the other way.
But if we're trying, like invert it. And instead of trying to read it from the outside, which I think so many of us get caught doing, and even the best practitioners, we all have moments of such humility, right? In a beautiful way of humbleness and like coming back to our work. And I think I'll just say at the time that we're having this conversation, I have been, I don't know, 6 weeks, 8 weeks in my own chrysalis phase. And it has been like the deepest, darkest, dark as it, not in a bad way, dark, just like going into the darkness. And holy moly, am I feeling called to do my own work right now. And it's really, really deep. And every time I know what happens in the chrysalis. I've been here before. I know that you can't force the butterfly out, like the wings shall die. Right. And so as I'm kind of making buds of wings right now, I'm just feeling into how much I'm having to do my own work and go deep and go on the spiral, as Julie was saying, like going deeper in and in and in. And even right now, I love the planning. Woo! I love the planning and Mia's planner and Mia's process. Like it has been so life-changing for me. And I can totally get all nerded out on it. And we were sitting in a planning session yesterday and I was like, yeah, no. I can't even be in that space right now. It's just like, just go in and listen. All I want to do right now is go in and listen and talk to my body and listen to what she has to say and do my own work. And I think part of it is knowing there's a right time for everything, right? And really trusting that doing our own work or doing different parts of our work requires different things of us at different moments. And I just couldn't say enough. I feel like the deeper I go on this journey and the more that I commit to it and the more I commit to serving others on this journey, the more that it just, what are those fair things that you like hit them and then they pop back up?
Whack-a-mole.
Whack-a-moles. I feel like you don't get away with kind of faking it. You can't get away with just pretending to keep on. If I don't do my practice, I'm not showing up in my best possible way. I don't have the intuitive skill that I have when I am like deep in my practice and deep in my own work. Like right now I am in the chrysalis, but my sessions are through the roof. It's really incredible. It doesn't look great on the outside, but as I'm going deeper in, what I'm able to tune into and how much I can support others and opening up space for them goes really big and wide. And so it's both, I'm in a particular moment, but even outside of this moment, I feel like it makes us better practitioners, but I also feel like it's a question of integrity, to be honest.
Kelly, will you talk about how, like, as you're in this chrysalis and like running a business and taking care of your body, how being in touch with others has helped? I mean, I know you talked to both Julie and I.
Wait,
so like how does like accountability help when you're in the chrysalis?
Oh my gosh. Well, first of all, you don't get lost in it. I think that's really important. And let's be honest. I'll be honest. I feel like in the world right now, we are in the muck. We are going through a very big transformative process, and we are being called to transform. And we are deep in the goo. And it's very messy and it's very uncomfortable and people are kicking and screaming. And there are so many that at the same time it's happening on the collective level, people are experiencing it within themselves as well. Like it is absolutely, okay, I have to speak for myself. It seems very obvious to me that so many of us are moving through some version of this, even if it's in response to how wild and woolly the world seems right now. And so being in spaces where we have accountability and support on the journey feels really important. And not from, and this is returning to where we began, not from the place of I know better, not from the place of I can direct you, not from the place of I know the path that you should be on, but from the place of I get it, I'm in there too. Let's do this together. And I may be a few steps ahead, or I might be deeper in, or I might not be, and I can still show up in service because I have tools and frameworks and things that I work with in the way that I work. And you have tools and frameworks in the way that you work, and Mia has tools and frameworks in the way that she works, and Julie has tools and frameworks in the way that she works. And these all provide us that sort of sacred container that we can step into and support people as they're going through their massive midlife crisis or chrysalis time, or feeling grief or terror about what's happening in the world, or just wanting to lose weight or make a plan, any version of those things. I feel like having that support in a really intentional, high integrity, high touch container can be the best possible thing for us. And I will not deny that I am calling on all my supports right now, even though I am deep in trusting my own process and adhering very strongly to that, not asking for someone else to tell me the answers and what it should be on the other side, but really supporting me and staying with my own process. I hope that made sense.
It made a lot of sense. Let's talk about mindfully putting ourselves in containers of accountability, support, community, love, acceptance. We choose to seek out places where we feel safe or safe enough to make choices from, as you would say, Mia, a place of peace and calm and love. I would love to hear your words, Julie and Kelly. But Mia, Julie, how did you and Mia find each other? Because I know that then Kelly found you guys through. I want to just track how this sort of power group came together a little bit.
I said to somebody the other day that I feel like Mia and I are intuitively connected in some very deep, profound way that I'm still figuring out, because we knew each other through the Waldorf school. We were parents at the same school, and I walked by her one day and she grabbed my arm and said, "You journal, right? Do you like to journal? And you're kind of into the earth, right? You like earth things?" I'm like, yeah. Hello?
Our kids are not the same age.
Our kids are not the same age, right?
Older mom.
Yeah. So as the elder, my kids are younger, older than her.
So Mia, what made you grab Julie's arm like that?
I don't know. It's funny. Someone had told me about her, and I had just bought. It's funny. I had just bought this journal that I do every year, and I was going to give it to the teacher, or my kid's teacher, and it was expensive. It was like $50 or something, and I just had a sense that the teacher was just going to put it on a shelf and not do it, and I was like, I didn't want to invest in this if no one's going to do it. And so I just was like, I bet Julie will do it. And so I gave her the book, and that was how we got to know each other, because we held each other accountable on that book.
Okay,
actually,
you wanted an
together,
ally.
in a cafe. But what's super interesting is the world is unbelievable, but it actually circles back to food and you, because listen to this. So when I first got healthy 14 years ago, or 15 or 16 years ago at this point, I had gone raw vegan in this moment of just complete clarity about what I needed to do. I lived that way for 2 years or something. And the person who I learned that from was not a cook. So I literally ate the same. I got myself so healthy. I have not been that healthy in my whole life, but she was not a cook. So I ate the same freaking thing every single day for I don't know, 6 months. And then I got so bored of it. And thank goodness this person had a restaurant. So we had traded, I did her website or something, and I got to eat at her restaurant. So one meal, every few days would be different. But otherwise it was the same green smoothie, the same salad, everything was the same. It was very boring, but I got healthy, so it was fine. But then one day I was like, I've got to learn something different. So I Googled cooking class near me. And this cooking class came up of this woman named Nina. And I went to her class, and then I met her. And first of all, at the time, I didn't think anyone good lived in Boston. I thought everybody lived in California. And I had just started following you, right? So I had just started following the Blender Girl. And then I went to this class. But the weird thing is I didn't even know this when I met Julie, probably 2 or 3 years later. But she and Nina are best friends. So I feel I would have met, it was I would have met, there was something that was going to lead us together anyway, but we had to figure it out. So I felt really strongly in that hall that I was going to give Julie this journal.
Well, and it's so funny, Mia might not remember, we had these silent auctions or something like that at the Waldorf School's fundraisers, and she auctioned off a dinner
Oh yeah.
a raw dinner in her house. And it was after she took the class with with Nina.
Nina.
And I went to her house and I was like, oh, and
I forgot you
Nina
went
had
there.
all this very much reverence for the beauty. Mia was creating her Plan Simple stuff at that time. And she was in like awe of, we were all entrepreneurs starting our businesses in a full way. And she's like, oh my God, everything that Mia does is so beautiful. And did you see the picture of her salad and the picture of her, like, because she's doing her website and then I went to her house and like even her, like her raw mango wraps with the lettuce, like everything is like beautiful. And I'm like, oh, I love Mia. And then it was like a couple of years after that or some other time when the journal showed up. So it was like all this sort of secret appreciation of each other.
Yeah. And so, Julie, Kelly, how do you and Julie know each other?
Yeah, we know each other, well, from another kind of magical thing that came to be that was through, I won't go into the whole long story, but basically all this intuitive and ceremonial guidance that led me to the school, the shamanic school, where Julie was assistant teaching at the time, and I stepped in, and the lead teacher, who is a dear, dear person for both of us, who's since passed on, I'd been dreaming of her. So I was asking for my next teacher, and here's Ona coming up in my dreams. And then when I showed up at the training, there she was. So it was very much this intuitive thing. And then Julie and I don't know, it just felt like very instant love. And I was really into acro yoga at the time. And I remember putting Julie up on my feet.
I was like, do you want to fly? I can help you fly. I'm like, no, I don't think you know how much I weigh. Are you sure?
But I did.
She did fly.
Yeah. And then I went through the whole training, and we just, the teacher-student thing grew into a very, very, very beloved friendship.
Yeah.
So,
and Julie, what was it that drew you to Mia's Flow community?
I made her a video.
Did you?
What was it? Oh, she did. She made me a video. So Julie, no, you know what? Well, there was also another prize-winning thing where I won a prize. She loves to give prizes, or what? Right? Is that what you call them when you give? You used to always give like giveaways.
Oh yeah, giveaways.
Yeah. So I got ball jars for my smoothies from her that I still have.
Are you
one left.
serious? That's hilarious.
Yes, I won 12 ball jars. They're really good ones.
Ball jars are
for
good.
But these are special because they fit in the cup holders and they're big. Anyway, blah, blah. But the thing that drew me to Flow, which is, I was just going to say in a different way, it's like I'm listening to all of us. And I think this is true of you too, Tess, because you make recipes this way. Because Flow has O in it, which stands for Om. And I plan intuitively. It's not always, and when I first started in Flow, I actually didn't have the same kind of, I used to work in a corporate job. I had a $12 million budget. I had 35 people working for me. Like I can plan, I can do Excel spreadsheets, but often I would do my to-do list at the end of the week. I would like go through all my calendars. This was when I was in corporate, write all the lists down of everything I needed to get done the next week that was carryovers. And then I wouldn't look at it till the next Friday. And I would be so happy to go through it and cross all these things that got magically done. So I love the intuitive piece. I would not be in a project planning linear, like there has to be room for intuition. So even when I have people make vision maps or do things, mandalas with things, I always say leave space for spirit to co-create with you. So, whether we call it body listening or tuning into our heart or getting really quiet and clear so that we can see, it's that Om place that's so important to me. And I think actually, Mia's intuition, even when she's coaching people through the Flow process in our accountability calls, which is the other reason I joined Flow. So it was the two things. It was Om and accountability. And when I was talking to my friend Nina about making the investment, she's like, well, what do you think? What do you want to get out of it? And I said, I just need to be accountable to my business and to myself. And so I think showing up every week, even when we do video calls with you, Tess, it's like, I'm just here to be accountable to myself. I'm just showing up to say, this is important enough for me to show up for me, not for anybody else. And sometimes it helps that there's somebody that we call teacher or coach or, expert in food or spirituality or planning to say, well, I'm going to go because she knows a little bit more about this than me, or she can see something from outside the bottle or inside the bottle. She can help me hold what I call it, what I actually do the inside out of what's on your inner wallpaper. So peel it down so that you can see anything, right? Just peel it down and then listen. Making that date with yourself, I call like my circle that my version of flow or skinny 60, my Thursday circle. It's just a date with the divine. It's just saying, yes, I have a relationship with spirit and I'm going to give an hour to it. I'm going to dedicate an hour to that relationship every week and see what happens. Because then it makes room for the magic and the intuition and the guidance that allows us to really take a breath together. And I think, and that's the last thing I want to say, is because all of you have said so beautifully, and I think all of you have done this for me, and is the container that we hold is a listening container. And we do listen without an agenda. All of us do that very well. We like listen, and we're coming from our hearts about what we are passionate about, and giving from that place of listening with our hearts to what I'm going to help you solve this for you, not because I can fix it for you. Not because it needs to be fixed, because you are perfect already.
Yeah. Kelly, what was it in you that drew you to flow?
Okay. Every time you ask a question, I'm like, oh, I'm still riding on that. I loved what Julie said.
Oh, I loved it too. If you want to riff off of that, feel free.
And I'm happy to tell. Well, Julie was what led me to Mia. She was like, you got to check this out. And she kept telling me, go on one of her events. Mia's this really cool business person. And I just like instantly fell in love with Mia and just how real she is, which, by the way, I have recommended many people into Mia's space. And the ones who have stepped in are like, oh, she's so real and she's so generous. And I just love how she is. And like the same things that I totally fell in love with are what, I mean, I guess it would make sense because that's how I'm promoting her. But just that place of being, I think initially you just asked about mindfully putting ourselves in containers. And I think the pieces that Julie was talking about in terms of the accountability piece is so huge. And the listening container is so huge. And I just think, just to give the contrast, because I feel like we're all talking about the really beautiful, positive parts of doing what we do, but when we don't do it, I talk with people every week who speak to how much they're spinning their wheels and how they're really stuck, or they really want to make this change and they're like, they can see it and they're just not getting the support that they need, or they're not ready or willing to, invest in themselves in that way, or they're not willing to make a plan, or they're resisting. I love to like work on befriending resistance. Like the resistance is so big around their spiritual or physical or emotional or, relationship with food healing that they're, wait, did I say that right? Yeah, the resistance is so big in terms of their relationship with all these different parts of themselves. And so they end up stuck and spinning their wheels. And I know I've certainly been there in different moments, and that certainly serves a purpose. It just really sucks when you just live there. and so I think having the space to where you can go in and be heard and be seen and be held as whole and be held as really powerful, right? I think that's something that each of us as well, in each of our containers, are supporting people in being. And so often, I think part of the resistance is that fear of either someone's going to tell me what to do that I don't want to do, or I'm actually really going to be seen, or actually acknowledge how powerful I am. And we know it, right? And it happens on all the levels. People go in and change their diets and start living in a way that really fuels their body, and suddenly everything else unfolds. They've got a new career and they're doing new things, and they're, excited about their relationships or having really great sex, right? Like they can change everything. Or they start planning and suddenly they're not completely stuck in the, the spinning spinning wheel of their lives with like 15,000 things that they just can't get control over. And suddenly they feel really competent and alive and they're getting things done that they haven't been doing. Or they go and they're suddenly doing the work of spirit that's been calling them and just banging down their door. And they've been ignoring it and have some health crisis or have some, relationship crisis or things where they're getting really stuck. And then they start to open up this spiritual component and voila, like life just looks really incredible. And suddenly they're on the path that they felt called to for forever, but they couldn't hear the call because they were too closed. And so, I feel like just opening up the space for people to really step in and access the parts of them that are there is so beautiful and sacred and such a gift. And yeah,
it's really hard to make change, right? Like it's so hard to make changes. I mean, I think that's what we're all like.
Yeah.
It's hard to live our best life. I mean, it sounds really good. Like we all know what we want, but like, well, actually one of the reasons, so, Kelly and Julie both joined, Flow to plan and like have accountability. And it was right before COVID, I think. Is that true? Or was it during COVID?
For sure before COVID.
Yeah. Before COVID. And so like my thing has always been like, I just want to like be able to, as best I can, like hold people's hand in like understanding what it is they want and then actually doing it. Right. Like that's always been my intention. And sometime in COVID and having gotten to know like the work of Julie and Kelly so much better, I realized that like there was all these components that even if somebody made a perfect plan, they might not actually show up and do the thing because like their nervous system was out of whack or like they had this like long like generations of whatever trauma that had made them not show up to it. And I was like, oh, like I don't know about that. I need help with that. And so it was so fun because Julie and Kelly got to come in and like really do those parts. And this was before they each had their own containers that now they get to hold people on. And so there's still some Julie and Kelly in our program. But I feel like after COVID, like people want to choose when they're on Zoom more. So I decided to lessen our Zoom a little bit. But it's real, like it's really hard to make change. And so I think that and especially when since we're, I'm going back to that initial question about containers, but when our container is social media or the news or a family system that didn't work for us or for what we were wanting to do, it becomes really hard to make those changes. And so having these like containers can be so helpful.
Yeah. And it is many containers that we're putting ourselves in in a day. We're not just in one in a vacuum. And I think that's one of the many superpowers that you have, Mia, is helping people in all parts of their lives and being a trusted curator of other facilitators and practitioners that can help put these different elements together. So thank you for sending so many people into our Skinny 60 container, Julie and Kelly included, because you've all done Skinny 60 multiple times. So, and Mia, even though you're incredibly knowledgeable about food and it's become a very big part of your journey and you have helped people with that through your books, through your events and so forth. Julie, you spoke about that. I want to have those mango rolls now. But so, right. So, and you also really shepherd people inside Flow while they're doing Skinny 60 because there's so much crossover now because you have been so generous in sending so many people to us. So I just want to ask about how this all comes together now for you. Why is it so important to eat well and to help others eat well so that they can be present with these other parts of their lives? What has that experience been like for you personally? And then what do you see as a coach? Mia,
Me? Okay, so food for me 16 years ago was just like the biggest epiphany. So I just knew. So I know I've done things where I like do food for others, but that's not really what I do anymore. And I mean, except for my family. And it's not expertise. Actually, I did write a book that Tess just referred to about food. And I took my kids, this was like 10 years ago, on a book tour. And I just remember being in California and looking out at this like whole sea of beautiful women who I was like, my instant thought was, these people know way more about kale than I do. What am I doing talking to them right now? So for me, I realized that food wasn't like the thing I needed to teach, but it made such a difference in my life. So before I changed the way I ate, the first time, 16 years ago, of which Tessa's books were definitely a part of, I think I always had brain fog. Like my mom used to take me to the doctor for chronic fatigue syndrome like every year. In the end, it ends up I had celiac and no one knew it. It was just undiagnosed. But I also didn't get periods my whole life. And all of a sudden I had regular periods at that point. Like I took Sudafed every single day because I had not Sudafed, Claritin every single day because I had such bad allergies. I don't think I've taken it since. Like I was always on antibiotics. I was a mess. And then all of a sudden, literally in 10 days, I was not a mess. I was so I could access the center. And I'm always saying that we want to plan from the center. And I literally couldn't have gotten to the center with the way that my body was feeling at that time. And so I think this is the part of the coasting part actually of realize. So I sort of coasted in that for quite a few years. But then as Julie was saying about that spiral, when I hit, it was probably right around COVID, and I was talking to you about business or something one day, and I was like, I just don't feel good. And you're like, oh my God, I can totally help. And I think that was the first time I ever did SK60.
Yeah.
And, and then I had to learn the next level. I didn't need as much protein in my 30s as I do right now. My body didn't have the same needs. So I wasn't even tracking that this was the thing I needed to figure out. And so I just can see consistently how when my body feels okay, and right now, at this very moment that we're recording, I'm personally having to redefine what okay is, because I just got this major brain surgery not too long ago. And so, it's all the time, it's okay, what is okay right now in my body? And if I'm not accessing that, I can't do my best work. I'm not a great mom, not a great wife, not a great friend. It affects all the areas.
Yeah, it does. We see this all the time. Julie, you're so big on being present, heart-focused listening, speaking from the center, from your being. What was it in you at that point in your life that said, yeah, I got to go and really, really go to the next level and really dial in my nutrition?
Gosh, I started studying nutrition before I got pregnant because I thought, I'm going to make a baby in here. I should just clean up, I clean everything else. I should do something in here. So it's been a really long time. And that was actually, Mia told me about you. How did we all found you through Mia here? Because, and Skinny 60 had just started and I was a little bit late, but I had done food combining a long time ago and loved it. And I was like, oh, this is going to be fun because I know I don't have to be totally, I'm not going to be totally, it's not all new to me. But I have long known when I turned 50, which was 10 years ago, I'll be 60 in February. There's the truth. There's the truth of my age. I was doing a lot of cleansing with food and keto and different things and learned what Mia was just talking about and saw it in my classes when we controlled the retreat center food and we took gluten and sugar out. People got so pissed. But they had better intuition. They had better attention. And actually when I worked in corporate, I have to go back even before that because when I started doing cleansing stuff for myself and eating more clearly and less gluten and sugar, really it was sugar for me at that time, I realized, having sandwiches and cookies in meetings in corporations and then expecting people to function the rest of the day is not working. And I would get protein platters and cut veggies. I would have no bread. They would just have salads with protein and fruit for dessert. And they're like, no cookies? I'm like, yeah, no cookies. And then they would go around saying, you should go to Julie's meetings. They're so awesome. We get so much done. Julie's like, da-da-da. I'm like, all I did was take the cookies out of the room.
That's going to be a meme.
Take the cookies out of the room. So the thing that was so great with you, Tess, was when was COVID? 2020. So that was 5 years ago. I was way into menopause at that time, and my hormones went back to normal. Like I have, with nothing but eating veggies, like eating Skinny 60. I'm getting goosebumps all over my body. So, and for those of you who don't know and are listening to this, I have had the pleasure of having some test coaching because I started doing my own. I mean, I've been doing my own retreats for a long time, but here and there I had all this extra time and I was really struggling with my retreats, what I was going to feed people. And I'd go to the first 2 times I actually did it. Mia's like, you should not be cooking. I'll cook for you. I think that's how she got onto the sideline of cooking for retreats for a little bit. Because she's like, I'm
all
that.
done.
Yeah, she's all done. So, but in that, when it shows up that have space in my calendar and my life, I like to cook test food for my retreats. And people are, in my field are like, and now I call them Tessipes, which I love. But it's like everybody, and people who work with me say, is this a Tessipie? Like, or is this something you like, how did we get this food and what we're having? So I serve Tessipes. I make a meal plan. What I started to say, I didn't finish that sentence, is I've had a few little private consults on the menu plan for a retreat because I'm like, I want that Mediterranean quinoa salad, but what goes with all those pickles? That, like I need a matching thing. So anyway, they feel better in the retreats. They're getting nourished and this is the thing that my work is about, and Mia's work is, all of our work really is about in their body. Their mind is clear because they're eating veggies. So when we eat a mostly vegetable based diet, we have super crazy clear mind and access because we're so hydrated, we're not tired, we have more energy. It gives you more access to the soul and intuition and your energy, as we've all said. When I ate raw for a while, around that same time that Mia was talking about, I started eating raw. I'm like, I'm going to try this. After Nina taught it, I'm like, I'm going to just try it for a little while. I'm like, oh my God, I need like 5 or 6 hours of sleep. What do you do with 18 hours a day? Because you're not digesting. Like I have so much energy. It's crazy. So I just love the food. And, and I'm human, and in the spiral of things, it's like winter is carb time and comfort food time. And I'm learning how to do that in a way that's more nourishing and less sugar crashing, because I can't do that. I mean, I don't eat sugar, but like other kinds of sugar crashing, I can't do that at this age because I feel like I don't feel good and I don't have the energy and I can't focus and I can't. So it's like, we have deep winter here, except that.
And I'm in deep summer. This is what's so great is we can all come together on different parts of the world. Kelly, what made you decide at that moment in time that you were going to take up the invitation and really level up and dial up your nutrition and into a more nuanced place? Yeah.
Well, first, I was hearing rave reviews from both Mia and Julie. And
I really should hire Mia as my publicist. She's got, so many things on her plate, but, I'll throw that one into the mix. But yeah.
Likewise.
Totally. So I was hearing rave reviews. Part of me was curious. We were still in lockdown, and I was alone with my kid. I'm a solo parent. I was alone with my kid, and we were, I've always been a pretty healthy eater, like from a very, very young age, was studying about nutrition and how to eat well, and kind of maybe even like too focused on healthy eating. And I had just been through a healing crisis where I was eating keto, and it was actually, it had an initial wonderful benefit. And then I was starting to have the less than pleasant effects of that diet. And I also was aware that it was sending me into this terrain of like really, really, really restricted eating that was worrying me. It was like becoming a little bit too much of a compulsion. And so I was hearing how amazing your recipes are, and that you're really amazing, and that there was, that I could eat so many of the things that I really enjoyed eating and still feel good. And I also was really prioritizing wanting to make sure that my kiddo grew up eating healthy food, and was interested more in more than a keto diet. And of course that was my interest for my kid as well. And so again, the recipes are just beyond. And I have, a similar experience of people. I love the recipes, Julie. But I have people all the time, because it's I'm going to a potluck, or I'm going to a special event or whatever. I bring a recipe or a recipe, and people rave about them, or if people are coming over, and they're also just praised foods and named foods in my or recipes in my house that are the test regulars. And so I think having the accountability and the support to be able to shift into a diet that was going to support me more long term, and really support me in feeling more expansive in my eating, but also, that's kind of a weird thing to say. What I mean is expanding what was a very limited, boring diet that I was not enjoying, and being able to really enjoy the food, because I have come into a place in my relationship with food where I've really learned to enjoy it. And I love delicious food, and cooking for people is one of my love languages, and I love offering up food to them, and I want to be able to enjoy what I'm also offering. And so I think those pieces were what were really key for me. And I think one of the big pieces too, because I was getting close, or I was definitely entering perimenopause at the time, and my body was shifting, and the way that it was processing food was shifting. And I had always been lower on the protein. Entering the keto world, I was definitely eating more protein, but really not enjoying it. I'm such a vegetarian at heart. But you helped me find a way to be really strategic about the protein that really supported my body and my digestion and my clarity in all the ways, and then just to enjoy it. So.
Oh yeah, it's all about the joy. So as I'm hearing everything that we've been talking about, going back to what we were saying about that we all place ourselves and the people that we work with in listening containers. So Mia, you were saying before about how you have the privilege and a lot of people that are working in a spiritual realm and have spiritual businesses and very in touch with that part of their lives are drawn to you, and they're in your community, and more so as the years go on, as I watch the evolution of your business and your community, which is so beautiful. We've been talking about how being clear and clean, we're more in touch with our intuition. Julie, you were saying that before, and we can really listen to our bodies and be present with what's going on. And then Julie and Kelly, you're inside of Mia's community, not only as members of the community and participants, but you're also helping facilitate certain aspects. And then you have your own, you've got your circle, you're working privately with clients, both of you, and your programs, etc. I want to ask, what's coming up for you now? We've been talking about how it's a really intense, messy, murky, challenging part of history. What do you see as being the most challenging thing for women at the moment in the space that we're working in? Mia, and I know that's kind of how long is a piece of string, because, that's going to be different. But I'm just curious as to what's coming up for all of you when I say that. What do you see in flow? And I just want to say really quickly, you talked about being the O part of flow. We've just got to get the rest of what flow stands for, just so we're all working at this from the same place.
Yeah, so flow stands for food. The F is food and wellness. The L is lifestyle, so like parenting, home. O is which is sort of spirituality, self-care, and W is work. And a couple things come up as the answer to that question. So one, I think we can all agree that women are just holding more than we've ever held in history. We especially women over 40, we're working and raising kids, and a lot of us are realizing that we don't want to choose. We don't want to choose between work that's really pulling at our hearts and being really good mothers. And I think in history, women felt like they had to choose. And then a lot of us who are in this age are also in that, sandwich generation. So we have children and parents that we're taking care of, and, no one is ready for that. And then, people who are attracted into my world are also thinking about their food and their well-being and something about their health, and also usually wanting sort of some sort of soul care, well-being aspect to things. And oftentimes people are entrepreneurs. But to the entrepreneur point or entrepreneurial point, the other thing that's fascinating that I had no idea, like that's why I started Flow, was because of that, because I could see that we were holding so much. But the fascinating thing that I've seen while doing this is that there's also this weird thing that is happening that I guess I couldn't have seen before I was, coming into 50 and working with women who are definitely over 50 as well, is that our male counterparts, if we're partnered often, are coming out of their best work. Like they're ready to like do something different and play golf. And sometimes like they want to be with the person they're partnered with more than the person wants to. And women are coming into our best work. Like, I feel like there's this like weird thing about menopause that like, right now, like, and because we have so much permission to do our best work, like so many people in Flow right now, spiritual or not spiritual, are coming to start businesses at age 50, 55, 60, like, and really wanting to succeed. And they have something really important to show the world. And they're not wanting to like be in a corporate environment or in an environment that isn't serving them. They want to do really good work and they want to be doing it for themselves. And I just didn't see that. I didn't see that as a thing. Like I didn't really understand that before I was actually in it, watching all these amazing things happening. And, as we were sort of like, as we're watching all these amazing things happening within women's and their work, like, definitely one of the things is like when spouses and adult children start to get in the way or like, come into the picture in a way that's not helpful in terms of doing the work. So I wouldn't have known that before, but it seems to be true for many, many women.
Yeah. Kelly, what are you seeing in your work working with women over 40? Because I mean, I think that's an assumption I can make, right? That the majority of us are working with women over 40. Is it okay to say that?
Majority, for sure. Yeah, I definitely am seeing a lot of what Mia is sharing about, a little less on the husband wants to be with me. But I hear that amongst friends. But I think, the ones who tend to be drawn to my work tend to be pretty highly sensitive people in the best expression in the world, but the words. But it can also be a bit of a burden to carry. And so what I'm finding is that people are both feeling caught in the, how do I do my own healing and how do I step into the best expression or version of myself? And how do I deal with whatever is going on in my body? And there's a shit show out there in the world. And I'm feeling it so intensely because I'm highly sensitive and because I care so much. And I like to say so many of my clients are women who carry the weight of the world, like they're holding it. And so as people are looking out, they're saying, what can I do? How do I show up? Like I am in pain. I'm in pain as I see this happening to kids and parents and immigrants and all the things, like the things that are just like shredding the hearts of so many right now. And I feel like it's a little bit of a two-sided thing. There's the ones who are just feeling so much and are like, oh, what do I do? The grief is just unbearable. Help me figure out how to work with this and support the healing in my body because it's actually gotten worse because I'm carrying so much grief. And then there's the ones who are kind of in chrysalis mode, which is kind of the space where I'm at, where they're like, there is so much happening. The world is on fire. We've been doing things for forever, holding things for forever, but now I feel like there's a bigger purpose that I am called to and something that I'm really feeling I need to step into. And I want my history or my legacy to be that I showed up differently for this moment. Mm-hmm. And so I feel like it's those two things. And usually it's A or B or A then B. Does that make sense? So.
And I think women right now, it's like the first time that the word legacy is so interesting to me. It's like, this is we're the first legacy generation. Yeah. Like there was no legacy before us.
Yes.
For women, right? Legacy was a man's job.
Ooh, hang on a second. Let's talk about suffragettes. Let's talk about other parts of history. I'm going to push back on that a little bit. I want to understand a little bit more, Mia, about where you're coming from with that. Because I feel like I live and exist and have rights because of what Ruth Bader Ginsburg did.
Oh, absolutely.
You know,
Absolutely.
and suffragettes, and I could go on, right?
Oh.
I could talk about Marie Curie and her legacy, and I mean, you know what I mean? I mean, so tell me where you're coming from with that, because I know that you know what I just said.
Think that up
right?
until now, up until now, there was all these like amazing people that I think a lot of women were like, oh, but that was her. You know, like that was these people who had the right to do that. And I feel like right now it's like all women are coming into like, it's like there's like a bigger thing. Like everybody can do this now. We don't have to be this. I mean, I don't know that those people probably didn't think they were special in the time. They were just doing the work that they were here to do. But it just
so you're talking about the collective.
It feels bigger.
Yeah.
It feels more collective.
I totally get
now.
what you mean now. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, what's coming up for you, Julie, about like what are you seeing in your work with women?
You know, I all the things that they've said, I've been really, I thought, oh, she's going to call on me too about this. And one of the things the only thing that hasn't been spoken about this is I think that we need each other more than ever. That women need other women.
Yeah.
I was talking to the aforementioned Nina earlier today. We were co-working today, and we were talking, and she was talking about another woman who just moved across the country because she's alone in Chicago, and she moved, blah, blah, blah. And she's had all these great ideas, and she's brilliant, and she's always the smartest person in the room, but she hasn't ever had a partner, and she hasn't ever had somebody to help her co-create. And she hasn't given to the world what she wants to give. And she's in her 60s. And like I agree with you, Tess, that we have so many opportunities, and yes, we can create a legacy, and we might even think about doing that, and we need to do it together.
Yeah.
And I just watched this crazy movie, amazing movie that just came out about Sarah McLachlan making the Little.
I love that movie.
Yeah, and it was. Oh, the movie was just astonishing,
sublime.
And it was all about what women can create together. And and the whole world was telling them over and over that they couldn't do it while they were doing it, making millions of dollars and hundreds of thousands of people coming. And I went right before COVID, I went to Peru and did a all women's gathering, and the woman was leading it from Chile, and she wanted people to come from all over the world, and everybody told her she couldn't do it. And more than 500 women came from all over the world. And they thought, you're not even going to get 10 people or 50 people. You can't block all these hotels. 500 people came, and 500 women brought a red dress and a blue dress and a white dress and a yellow dress. And we dressed in colors, and we did ceremony for 5 days together. Because some woman had a vision, and women got together and did it together. So I just think, like, the people who come into our communities, all of us, and I'm going to come back to your community, Tess, because part of what I loved, besides how great I felt and how delicious the food is, like, I could take pictures of my salad or my soup and post them, and there would be other women going, ooh, ah, oh my God, look how you have breakfast by candlelight, or look at this, like, but food is important, right? Like, and so that being in community and having somebody go ooh ah about what you're doing. Oh my God, you did a great meditation, and then you knew what to do in your plan. Awesome.
Oh, let's talk more about this magic that happens when women come together. Because Mia, your flow community, because it is exclusively for women, the magic that happens when women come together, they're accountable to each other, they do it together, they elevate and celebrate each other. You have these workshop calls inside the flow community where you actually work on your thing together, and separately. Take us inside what that experience is like as a facilitator, but just as another woman holding space with other women in that way to create, to co-create.
Yeah, well, one of the things I want to say, and then can I say something first and then answer that question that is coming up, is that, so one of the like sort of testimonials, like feedback that we get the most often is just how amazing the community is. And I'm sure that Julie and Kelly get this, and I'm sure you got, we all probably get the same thing, but like how amazing the community is. And a lot of times that's with an asterisk, and I've never been in a safe community of women. So I think this goes back to like that first question of the safe community. That's really important, because in the patriarchy that we exist in, like there just have not been safe places for women. And a lot of times, even if we're with all women, like all girls schools, it can be really mean.
Yeah, mean girls.
Yeah. Yeah. So I just want to like acknowledge that even though this, like we're all talking about all women, it is sort of a new paradigm that like we're in these, like the safety part is really important. And so, yeah, so it's really important to me. And it's how, you know, it's what actually, when I first, called Julie and Kelly into Flow as not as like, you know, participants, but as teachers, part of that was because I realized in leading community, I needed to have like people's side, like part of leading a community of women is having women. So like, you know, and I have a mentor that's really important to me that talks a lot about women and community and like helps me with that. And so that's a really important part. And then it is, as you said, what we do. So, you know, a few of the things that we do in Flow is we plan together, whether that's 90 days or a week. Or for, you know, special occasions like a project or, you know, whatever's coming up, we plan together. And there's just something about coming together that, yeah, it's accountability that you'll get it done. But also it's this beautiful weaving that women have this ability to do.
Ooh, I
like,
love the word weaving.
Actually, Julie taught me how to ask people about, you know, how they're feeling. And just as you watch these more feeling focused words come even into the chat, it's beautiful. And we start every Friday planning call. Like, so one of my beliefs is that, you know, if we're going to make these decisions about our next week, that everybody should feel as centered as possible. So every Friday call, we start off with just celebrations and gratitudes. And as women, we're like so shy to celebrate ourselves, but it's like, what amazing things did you do this week? Like we all want to know genuinely. And there's people who don't always share. You know, and my hope is that over time they get more and more comfortable to share. But there's no doubt that when women do share that in this way, that everybody can pick up on like the essence of it, the vibe of it, and like just take it into themselves. So there's just something so magical about like showing up and doing things in this way. So we plan together, and then, you know, once people have a plan, we have these 90-minute co-working sessions where we show up and you know, everyone's really accountable to what they're doing, and we do that in sort of a feminine way. And I don't know, I just think it's so important to have this sort of feminine camaraderie, like not just camaraderie, but just like the feminine version of camaraderie.
How would you define feminine?
Softer, feeling based instead of like doing based. So Julie's always saying being, you know, which is the energy. So I don't know. I feel like Julie and Kelly are going to have really good answers to this that are more intelligent than mine. Because for me, it like lives in my heart, and I don't always have
Don't worry.
words.
As you've all pointed out, I will be calling on each of them in a minute. So feel free to just interject. But what was coming up for me as you were speaking, Mia, was this idea that we don't need to share to be in this beautiful place in celebration of ourselves in the moment, and also be celebrating others. So I'm sure you all, as facilitators, get this feedback where people that don't necessarily feel like they want to verbalize in public or share publicly in this moment still get nourished very deeply by the shares of others, that we don't need to be speaking in order to be validating. And so I get this every single day. Someone will say, I know I haven't shared publicly on the calls yet, but I just love listening to what these other women are saying and being part of the energy and the collective group, and what's being created here is so beautiful. And I'm sure you all hear that as well.
Well, and I learned this from Kelly, actually. So Kelly uses the word in her language titration all the time.
She does.
And to me, it's like if, especially since we haven't been in this world where women actually necessarily all appreciate each other, right? Because we all have this sort of like mean girl, some story. Most of us have some story in the past of a mean girl situation. And so it's kind of like when we get to be in safe community, you know, even if we're a little shy, it's like we start to see that, like, oh, like everyone's really supportive of each other. And then it's like, you know, one week, maybe I'll give myself permission just to say like one little thing, you know, and at first, whenever anybody celebrates, they're like, but it wasn't that big of a deal. You know, it's always the first thing, like, but it wasn't that big of a deal. And it's like, no, of course it was a big deal. Stop. It was a huge deal. It's a big deal that you're showing up here, or that you meditated for 5 minutes, or that you had a green smoothie this morning. It's a huge deal, and we need to celebrate all of it.
Yeah, I agree. I celebrate every win, no matter what it looks like, and no matter what form it comes in. It's so important. Kelly, let me ask you about titration. This word that you use, and Mia, you know, you will be able to respond in such a beautiful way. I'm sure both of you, and Julie. Julie, I'm calling on you in a minute. I'm giving you the heads up.
I'm ready. I'm totally ready. I'm totally ready. I'm always ready.
Preparing her comments.
Yeah, Kelly, what's community? Being there for each other, being in it together. How do you get fed by the Flow community and your own community and other communities you're in?
Yeah.
Wait. Before she answers that with Flow, will you also include in your answer, like, actually how community actually affects our nervous system? Because I think that's really important part to this.
Yeah, totally.
Mia, I love
I'm glad
you.
you just asked that. Yeah. So we have a nervous system in its most foundational, like most basic terms. We have the parasympathetic and the sympathetic parts of the nervous system. The parasympathetic slows down, the sympathetic speeds up, right? So getting ready to do something, going out and exercising, getting cut off on the highway, that's all speeding up, right? Heart races, your breathing speeds up, what have you. The parasympathetic is all about slowing down and being able to rest and digest and connect. And here's the key piece there, which isn't often spoken about. The nervous system is like all over the news now, right? Everybody's talking about the nervous system. Everyone's talking about the vagus nerve and all the things. But here's the part of the nervous system that doesn't get mentioned very much, is the love and connection part. We have a social engagement part of the nervous system that engages that parasympathetic, the slowing down part of the nervous system. And it is essential because we are not meant to just survive. We're not meant to, it's fight and flight and freeze. They're all incredibly adaptive and functional. And so important is the capacity to then return to the place of love and connection. And that when we step into healing and nourishing community, it really changes things. And then if we take it a step further, if community in the past has been, has involved not belonging or experiencing the mean girl thing or the sister wound, as I like to call it, or being ostracized or teased or made fun of or whatever, and you've stayed away from it, it can actually be very activating, right? I've had many people say, I have no interest in being in a group. And I have other people say, I've never felt so safe in a group. And so I keep trying to coax the no interest people. But the thing that happens is we're engaging a part of our nervous system that's really, really essential to have online. And is very supportive for our healing and our resting and our digestion and our planning and our spirit connection and all of that. And then one other piece that I want to mention is mirror neurons. And the mirror neurons are most basic. They were discovered by these Italian researchers numerous decades ago. And basically what they discovered is the same part of, so a monkey observing another monkey doing a task, the same part of the monkey's brain who's doing the task lights up in the brain of the monkey who's observing the task. And then they replicated this, they replicated it with the monkeys doing different things. And then they replicated it in humans. So, I pick up a pen and Tess and Julie's and Mia's brains light up that they're also picking up a pen. So when we step into space and we're sharing our celebrations, and this is something I love because I think people have often felt so afraid of sharing celebrations, to your point, Mia, and they're afraid of, they don't want to do the tall poppy syndrome, because you like rise too high, you'll get cut down. When they see someone else celebrate, one, their mirror neurons are activated, so they're able to experience the celebration as well. And two, they learn that it's actually safe to celebrate each other and to be in a space of women where we lift each other up. And that keeps getting reinforced. And that for me is healing both at the individual level, but it also really ripples out, because I've seen this all the time where people have that experience in my group or another person's group, and they speak to how important it is, and then they go and they live it. And it has a real ripple, and that's the mirror neuron place. So, and I can speak to titration if you want, but it's just like the really quick part of it is you just go in slow doses. You go really slowly, and you create more safety in doing the things that feel hard or scary or counter to the pattern that you've known before. And then your nervous system gets more familiar and you create more safety with it. And then it builds safety in the system for that love and connection piece.
And I think within the context of speaking about titration and doing things slowly and gradually, the invitation from others is really helpful in that. And I think that part of community, it's just a constant invitation. Come out and play. Show yourself, use your voice, be part of something else. A reminder, it's just a constant reminder and invitation that you are part of something bigger and you can contribute to it. Julie, what are you seeing in your circle every week, and in Mia's flow community and retreats and things that there's so many things that you're a part of.
Yeah. Yeah. I want to pick up on the celebration. It's like this perfect. Yeah. So the celebration thing, one of the things that happens for me is I also have this inner celebration of when I'm listening to other people, even if I'm not sharing out loud or in the chat, I'm realizing, wow, I did a lot of things this week. Like but like she did that. I did that. I did what she did. I'm doing all these things and not even acknowledging, because I didn't get the one I didn't get my 3 big things done this week, but I did get all these other things. I have moved the needle forward. I've finished some major things. And then, so that's a really great thing. And then the other thing that happens, so if you take all of these things that we've talked about mirror neurons and titration and taking baby steps and how the community feels safer and safer when they realize nobody's getting burned at the stake, by the way, for telling them all the great things they did, is that we come into heart coherence. So part of what happens is when Mia started flow at the beginning, and then I was with her for a while, and then Kelly joined, I don't know what, a year later, and she was like, not everybody actually holds sacred space. Not everybody makes sacred containers or safe spaces. Maybe we should teach about how to make safe spaces. And so this place of when as the holder of the person who's doing the work, who's showing up and holding the container, is in heart coherence, is in their present, in their center, can breathe in and out of their heart, can be really present while someone's having a freak out, and stay with those highly sensitive people. The ripple of that is that love is felt more, that you come into balance with me. As we breathe together, if we were singing together, which I sometimes have my circles do at the beginning, we or we hum, or we actually sing a song together on mute so it doesn't make a crazy recording, but we sing together, we come into immediate harmony together. Even if we're not singing literally in harmony, our hearts sync, and that makes a giant ripple, and has also been studied for many, many, many years now. And it actually changes the whole electromagnetic field of the earth, like literally. So it's very, very potent to come together in groups and to have these sacred, and it's really funny because my group meets the first 4 Thursdays of the month. So about 3 or something times a year, we have a Thursday off. And we just had one of those in October. And the whole first part of the circle in November was like, oh my God, I had no idea how much this is like the best part of showing up for something, and you don't know how much you need it until it's not there.
Yeah.
And we don't even know that something's happening, but you weren't there. And, and like all this, and somebody said today, sent me a thing, what about all the fun, because I'm looking at my webpage for the next year, And I sent them like, do you see yourself in these bullets? And they said, but what about all the fun we have together and how much we love being with each other as women? Like, shouldn't that be in there?
Yeah.
And it's like, you get all caught up in the things, and somewhere in this was about the feminine. Did we ever talk about that? Somewhere it was like, what do we see feminine
Yeah,
as?
please tell me how you define it.
Yeah,
I actually loved your
one of-
definition, Mia. There is no wrong definition. Yeah.
No.
Yeah. So her being is the way I call it is there's the feminine, the masculine, and so I call them egging and sperming. Right? Like sperm, the masculine, like a million sperm all over the place, like many, many things. And also 1 day cycle, right? They reset every day. Women have a 28-day cycle. Even in menopause, we're still following the moon. We're still like, what's happening with that moon? Because wow, here I am again. And eggs just sit on their throne and say, come on, I'm here. I'm beautiful. I'm ready. Bring it. What do you got for me? So it's this really interesting balance. And it's actually, Mia does this so magnificently in Flow with balancing the two parts of like, how are we moving forward, that masculine piece, but also the place of the feminine is really deeply about gestation and slowing down. And Kelly's been talking about being in the chrysalis, but we also gestate ourselves. We like regrow ourselves. And I just had this huge awareness that I put as a celebration, actually, I think in the last time I was in celebrations with Mia, it was such a huge, profound thing that I realized when I was trying to get pregnant, I realized this was not the profound thing. I realized it is a little profound that I had spent so many years trying to not get pregnant, and it's like 15 minutes a month and you can get pregnant. There's like this tiny, tiny window, and I'd spent years of my life, don't get pregnant, oh my God. So I get pregnant, but then I realized the big aha was, I realized that I get pregnant at a certain time of year. My body likes to get pregnant and have babies at a certain time of year. And wouldn't it be nice if we honored that part of and a lot of women actually get pregnant sort of like their kids are stacked up in a few months of the year. They're not spread out. Most people I know, actually, birthdays are all pretty stacked up. So anyway, like if we honor those cycles of our lives, this is a time I've often wondered about, like, am I actually part bear and I should hibernate like a bear and eat berries and like a little bit of food in the winter. And then, which is the opposite of what I do.
Yeah. Oh God. I hear you on that.
So,
I could talk to you all about this all day long, and I know I need to let you go. So I always close every episode, and I want to ask you when Kelly, because I want to hear what your definition of femininity is too, by the way, just so that we get that in, so we hear from all three of you. But I always close every episode, as you know, with the same question, which is, when you have a dream in your heart and you don't feel like you have what it takes to make it happen, what do you say to yourself, or what would you say to someone else, Kelly?
When you have a dream in your heart and you don't feel like you have what it takes to make it happen, sit on the earth, look all around you. I think what's been said about the feminine is so beautiful. All I need to say is that she gives us everything. A friend today sent me a cross section of a beautiful cauliflower that looks like this woman with her arms spread wide. I was like, isn't she beautiful?
I want to see that image.
I'll totally send it to you. It's really gorgeous. We send each other veggie pictures.
Oh God, I want to see some veggie pics.
I find that helping people connect to nature and see how each part of the natural world has its own way of expressing imperfection in the right timing, in really beautiful and sometimes fierce and really unattached ways, that when we can take that wisdom into ourselves and recognize that it's all there before us, it's all a mirror, right? And if I were working with a client, we would do a medicine walk mirroring ceremony where I send them out on the earth to explore this. But then the other pieces that I would say are, let's let's clear those obstacles that are keeping you from believing that you have the capacity to make it happen. And let's get you aligned with what's really calling to you. I feel like it's like the summary of this call. We'll plan it out and let your future self call it in. And then you call on the guidance and the support and the community, and let's make it happen. And eat the right foods while you're doing it, so you feel good in your mind.
Oh, you're hilarious. Julie, what would you say?
Yeah, I don't know that I'd say that much different. It was funny that when you asked the question, it brought up a lot of sadness.
Ooh.
So
Why is that?
I think that there's a place of honoring grief these days.
Yeah.
Like, how does it feel that it feels that
Yeah.
way? What's going on there? And whose voice is it that says you can't do it? That your dream isn't whatever. I mean, there's like so many different answers to why you might not have what you want. And Kelly's story of going out on the earth, yes, 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 and going out into nature, and remembering that nature time is different than a mind time. I mean, I guess that's the other thing that I hold as different, masculine and feminine, is this vision of having a dream, having a heart's longing to do something in the world or to share or create. It's this place of really allowing that to unfold. And sometimes we think that means I should have done it by now, whatever by now is. And it's like, well, you know, Mia's been holding a vision of my circle being a big group or size or for whatever. And this year I just surrendered to, I'm here for my circle as long as they want me. And if it's this big or this big, I'm here in service to this thing called show up for yourself in the divine. And yes, absolutely eat good foods. And you know, and it's woven into the beauty of that, of like, and actually my other thing is to just exactly, it's like the 3 steps of what Kelly said. It's like, although I might start with clear the obstacles and maybe go to earth, you know, they're all sort of together. What are the obstacles that are keeping you? And sometimes, and I think the other thing that happens in my groups, Mia actually pointed out this to me, I didn't even really realize it. My groups are all filled with empaths and highly sensitive people. They're sort of in the barrage of the world, and they don't know how to cope. They know there's more and they can't get there because they're so in the noise of it. And what was I going to say about that? I was going to say that place of really making space for your own self when you're in the noise of everybody else's self that's what the containers that we all 4 of us create are for. Like, this is how you feed yourself well. Mind, emotions, body, mind, emotions, soul, energetic. That's what we all do together collectively. Like, feed yourself first. Put your own mask on first. I used to say always, like, take a breath first for you. And find your heart and fall in love with who you are. And nature will definitely support you and show you and bring you home to your heart. Yeah. And have it be delicious. like really, like, why not have it be delicious? I love that about, you know, I just love that, you know, have it be a celebration, as Mia says, and have it be something really yummy, and tweak the recipe. If it's not for you, tweak it, make notes. Make a plan.
I love that. Mia.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how do I take the different angle? So I think what I would say is, I think a lot of times when people have a big idea, myself included, right? That's what we're talking about. Like when you have a dream, that was the initial question. I've like lost the initial question. We think like, who am I to do this? Right. And I just don't think we can have an idea if it's not ours. Like we wouldn't have it if it wasn't ours to pursue. So, or we didn't have the capacity, like, you know, whatever you want to call it, earth, like whatever you name that, like, I just don't think it would come to you if you didn't have the capacity or couldn't grow the capacity, because some of us don't have the capacity in the moment. I have many ideas that I have way before I have the capacity to pull them off. Right. So that's the first thing. It's like, okay, I can do this. And then, like, this is one of the biggest things that comes up in planning, and this is actually where we bring in the feminine first, is like, how does it make me feel that I could do this? And I think that sometimes the things that we think of are so big, but actually there's these, like, we get lost in like the to-dos and like the outward things of like all the steps. But like sometimes we can feel that way with something that we're doing in an hour from now already, you know? So it's like, oh, I want to feel love. Like I can feel that with the, you know, it's like if I'm trying to like manifest my dream partner, it's like, and I really want to feel love, like I can love the person at the gym when I walk in the door. Like we forget that we can like feel these things and bring them closer to us. So I love just going back to the feelings and see if we can find these steps in that. So that's like that to me, that's like the first most important thing. And then at some point, the other important part, I think, is that we overwhelm ourselves by keeping it in our head. So one of the reasons that I'm just so passionate about what I do is because it's really about taking the time to get it all like out of our heads and onto paper. And not only in as a to-do list, but like in a realistic like time, because our brain doesn't understand time. So like Julie said, like we wonder why we haven't already done the thing. Well, that's just our brain being our brain. But yeah, once we plan it out and we're like, oh gosh, I could do this week and this week and this week. And in a month, I could like have this whole thing. Like that blows a lot. Like that just like surprises us and delights us. But we often just get stuck in the head part of like, you know, how could I do this? Who am I to do this? You know, maybe somebody else should do this. But it's like, no, like there are processes that can help us do it.
And you are all helping hold those containers and helping people with those processes. So thank you so much for this beautiful conversation and for the way that you show up in the world. I'm so grateful for each of you.
I'm so grateful
Thank you, Tess. Amazing.
Oh my gosh, we're so grateful for you.
Yes, thank you.
Oh, there's so many great takeaways from that conversation. The value of coaching. I love it how Mia calls it thought partnerships. And coaches need coaches. I certainly have coaches in order to be able to show up as the best version of myself and coach people effectively and cleanly in the Skinny 60 community. I appreciated what Mia was saying about there being no coasting with what's going on in the world. We are certainly being called to work at the next level. And asking, have you done your own work before going to work? The answer is there for all of us, but it can be really hard to see it on our own. We need help. I loved when Mia said, it's like we're inside of our own bottle trying to read the outside label. It's impossible. And great coaches are creating safe containers of listening, as Julie said. And Kelly framing it as giving intentional, high integrity, high touch kind of support. And it is a form of co-creation with coach and client. We step in together and get awakened to different ways of seeing and holding things. And the importance of making choices from a safe place. Mia saying, I help people tune into their choices and make them from a place of peace and calm. And then we're able to make better choices. And an ethical wellness practitioner has to walk the talk. You can't have clear pathways and tap into your intuition and know what's yours and what's not yours if you don't practice self-care. So when facilitating transformation, you got to be ready and have a clear vessel. And the importance of a self-practice. When Julie said finding the answer to whatever I'm working on is within my own practice, we teach what we need to learn. So I appreciated what they were saying about doing Skinny 60, that they all needed to be more strategic with their nutrition and feel better in their bodies with their changing hormones and improve their gut health and sleep and energy, mental clarity, and regulate their blood sugar and hormones to be clean and clear and more in touch with their intuition and have even more of themselves to offer. When Mia said, I have to redefine what's okay for my body all the time. You know, it's a moving target. It's not a static goal. If I'm not checking in with myself regularly, I can't do my best work. And I'm not a great mum, a great wife, or a great friend. And when Kelly said, when people start living in a way that really fuels them, everything changes. They're doing new things. They're enjoying their work. You're excited about your relationships. You're having great sex. I mean, life is just better when you feel better. And what was Julie saying about coming into heart coherence? That really resonated with me, that the person holding the sacred space and the people showing up to enter that space, you've all got to be in heart coherence so you can be present and all hold in a community, whatever happens. So in Julie's group, in her sacred circle every week, they sing together, they come into harmony. And then the ripple effect of being in coherence with each other, the love is just felt more. And it does change the energy field. And the value of groups and communities. It is hard to make changes on our own. So mindfully and consciously and actively putting ourselves in containers of support and accountability and love and acceptance, it just makes it easier to keep showing up for ourselves. And community is a constant invitation, as Julie was saying, to come out and play with yourselves and others. Show up for yourself, use your voice, be part of something else. Remind yourself that you're part of something bigger. And gosh, wasn't it fascinating what Kelly was saying about what happens to our nervous systems when we're in a group? We have a parasympathetic, the slow down, and the sympathetic, the speed up parts of the nervous system. And we're not meant to just survive in sympathetic mode, which a lot of us are doing, that fight and flight, that freeze. We're in it too much. So we need to shift into parasympathetic, into that rest and digest and connect. And being in healing and nourishing communities engages that love and connection, that social engagement part of the nervous system, which engages that parasympathetic activity. So when we see others celebrating in community, saying, yeah, I did that. Yeah, I did that this week. Our mirror neurons are activated and we're able to experience the same thing, the same feeling. Oh, I love the power of the collective of women. The magic that happens when women come together with a vision and elevate and celebrate each other. What do they call it? The beautiful weaving. Women need women more than ever before. We need each other. So seek out the right group for you so that you have that feminine camaraderie, that softer feeling-based being that lives in the heart. And what Mia was saying, that so many people in Flow 365, and I certainly experienced this in Skinny 60, say, I've never been in a safe community of women like this before. So there are more of these communities. It's fantastic in this day and age, but you do want to find a place where you feel safe. Just because somebody you know feels safe in a particular community, it may not be for you. So give yourself permission to form boundaries that feel right for you. So Julie has her fantastic online sacred circle. They meet together on the first 4 Thursdays of each month. I appreciated what she was saying about dedicating an hour to your relationship with spirit and feeling that so that you can feel it more throughout the week, just checking in once a week like that and what they did and how they missed it when it wasn't there on the week, in the months when they didn't have it. And you can certainly join Kelly's groups as well. She also does group events and she has her private practice. And Mia's group, Flow 365, is extraordinary. So Flow stands for F, food and wellness, L, lifestyle, parenting and home, spirituality and self-care, and the W is for work. And so Mia is very, very good at helping you balance all the parts of your life. And she's a really trusted curator of other facilitators like Julie and Kelly, who work with all the members of Flow 365 to make sure all these areas of your life are where you want them to be. It's really incredible what they get done in this community. I appreciated what they were saying about women needing and wanting soul care. And we are holding more than we've ever held before. I mean, we're working, we're raising kids, there's just a lot going on. And what did Mia say? We're in the sandwich generation where a lot of us are caring for elderly parents as well. So Julie saying that she joined because she wanted to be accountable to her business and herself. So she goes because she makes a date with herself. She's showing up every week saying, this is important to me. I am important to me. I'm going to show up for myself and take care of, what did she call it? The inner wallpaper, just peeling it down, listening. And being able to hold space with other women. So those Friday planning calls, it's kind of like sheltered workshop in Flow 365, where everybody has a project they're working on and everybody sits there and works together. And they all start off with celebrating what they did in the previous week or what they want to do this week, starting off with those celebrations and gratitudes and saying it out loud, or just listening to other people do it is fantastic. A lot of us are shy about saying out loud and what we've done and loud and proud and celebrating ourselves. What amazing things did you do this week, and celebrating every single win, no matter what form it takes. What Julie was saying is really resonated with me. When you listen to others speaking in a group, it prompts your own inner celebration. Yeah, wow, okay, she did that. Yeah, actually, I did that too, and I'm not even recognizing it. Oh, I did a lot of good things this week. So often we're not acknowledging the progress that we've made with all the other things because we're so hyper-focused on the big things, the big goals that we didn't get done. And it does make you look back and go, oh, yeah, actually, I've done some stuff this week. Okay, I'm going to build on that. So we don't have to be verbally sharing if you're shy and you want to just sit back, to be in a beautiful place of celebration with ourselves and others. We can be deeply nourished by the shares of others. I've really certainly experienced that in groups myself. And the value of titration, that word that Kelly uses, is really fantastic, just giving ourselves the grace to make changes slowly. And that approach, it does create more safety in doing things that are hard and scary. It makes it easier to counter the patterns that we've known before. And when fear and doubt creep in, I love Julie's point about connecting with your grief about it. Like, what's going on there? Whose voice is that says that you can't do it? And Mia's point that we don't have an idea if it's not ours. It wouldn't come to you if you didn't have the capacity or grow the capacity to make it happen. So I love the 1, 2, 3. Clear the obstacles, go to earth, connect with nature, and eat good food. And Julie really does fantastic breathing exercises and meditation. So does Kelly. And that point that she was making about, as we age, we're on a spiral and we are getting closer and closer to the center as there's more yesterdays than tomorrows. So time feels like it's coming faster and there's less of it. So when you have a breathing practice, a meditation practice in the morning, and you do that consistently, you're tuning into your heart, you're connecting to spirit. It does feel like there's more time each day. Time expands. And as Kelly was saying, just taking that time to clear the obstacles that are keeping you from believing that you have the capacity to make it happen, and just getting aligned with what's really calling to you. How she says, I like to befriend the resistance that keeps you stuck on the journey to healing. The befriending the resistance is the path to getting past it. And when your heart's longing to do something, to share, to create, there is a place within that of just allowing it to unfold. So there are points of getting out in nature, connecting with the wisdom of nature. It is a mirror. So sit on the earth, walk on the sand at the beach, look around you. Nature gives us everything that we need. And nature time is different to mind time, as Julie was saying. And feeding yourself first, as she said, making space for your own self while you're in the noise of everybody else's self. Put on your own mask and then assist others. And just taking that first breath for you, as she was saying, and then nature will support you and bring you home to your heart. So if you're feeling overwhelmed, that point that Mia was making, we overwhelm ourselves by keeping the dream in our head. We feel like things are really big and we get caught up in all the steps. So that exercise of hers, how do you want to feel? when it's done, that thing that you want to do? How do you want to feel when it's done? So if you can connect with the feeling, what it's like to have it, then you can bring it closer to you. And the value of making a plan. Mia and Julie putting their philosophies together. Planning is making decisions in advance and notes to your future self. And our brain doesn't understand time, to Mia's point. We wonder why we haven't done it already. But when we plan it, we put it out on paper week by week, we can see how we can get it done. It actually can surprise us. And we just often get stuck in the thinking part, how could I do this? Who am I to do this? All that imposter syndrome stuff. But if you do plan it out, you can let your future self call it in. So as I said before, I have interviewed each of these ladies on the podcast. So if you want to learn more about them and their stories and why they do what they do, listen to episode 17 where I talked with Mia about her story. She gives really fantastic, tangible tips for reducing overwhelm and making a plan to get what you want. And then in episode 24, Kelly shared her journey and takes us through some strategies to release stress and trauma and regulate our nervous systems. And in episode 54, we track Julie's path to her work in shamanic healing, and she gives really beautiful guidance for heart-centered listening. So please connect with Mia, Julie, and Kelly, enter their worlds, and you will be nourished and supported and inspired. And I have put all of their links in the show notes. And if you are looking for a community, look at Flow 365. I've put the link to Flow 365 in the show notes as well. It is an incredible community of women where you will be able to connect with Mia, Julie, and Kelly. And the women that I know that are a part of this community are doing extraordinary things. Some of them are in the Skinny 60 community as well. When you put the health and nutrition piece with this planning piece and the community, the world lays down at your feet, I assure you, and the road rises up to meet you. It is unbelievable. If you are a part of an amazing community of women, I would love to hear about it. So please leave a note in the Facebook group. I would love to check it out. Don't do it alone. When women come together with a vision, they change the world. And as Mia said, women over 40, we can do our best work when we give ourselves permission to do it.
I want to hear about your It Has to Be Me story. So head on over to ithastobeme.com/stories to share it in our free community. You can also join the conversations we're having about this episode and others. I'm Tess Masters. Join me next week and we'll dive inside another great story to help us go from dreaming to doing.